Hi, this video I'm posting up on YouTube is in reference to this lens that I'm selling. I'm going to be selling it on eBay, and what I'm going to do is put a link on my eBay ad to this video, and vice versa. I'm going to put a link to the eBay ad on this video at the comment section. So this is a DA645. It is a lens made for the Pentax 645Z. Which is a medium format camera. If you haven't seen my video on that camera body, I recommend that you look at that as well, because I do reference the lens and things like that. So let me get to this lens. First of all, I don't have the original box. I will talk about the quality that I've kept this lens in, and I'll bring it up close to show you that there's no blemishes, and I'll show you the glass so you can see it's in good condition. And the reason I'm doing this is generally, if I buy a high price item or even a used phone or something like that off of eBay, I just think it's good responsibility of the seller to give as much information as you can about the product that you're selling, especially if it's secondhand, obviously. I'm putting this YouTube up as I would expect the person I'm buying it from. And what you might want to do if you do bid on another lens, either Prime or this one, or this model, ask a lot of questions from that person. Ask them, why are they selling it? What condition it is? Are they willing to make a video about it? Things like that that could really influence your buying decision on a used lens. And a used lens is I think it's very important on how you've kept the lens. For a lot of reasons. For every time you mount and unmount this lens to the camera, you're introducing possibilities of dust, possibilities of moisture, that can affect the lens. That you could be shooting it perfectly one day, and then all of a sudden you're in a humid environment and the lens fogs up on you. So I don't want to scare you about lenses, but I think lenses are extremely important, and especially how well they're kept. And this little pouch that it comes with, it's kind of nice, but I just won't, there's no way I'm going to keep this lens in this bag. In fact, I wouldn't keep this lens and the camera in any soft bag, whether it be a backpack, an over-the-shoulder bag. I've always kept this lens and the camera in a hard case, and they're not very expensive. Especially if you're buying a configuration like this. It's just good practice to keep it in a hard case, because there's a lot of moving parts, right? There's shake reduction, there's large aperture leaves on the camera itself. There's a for the sensor side, there's a big mirror that gets flipped up and down. So there's a lot of moving parts in there. And also too, the camera mount lens, you really want to look at the camera mount on a lens, as well as in the body. You can see this is just a extremely high quality stainless steel camera mount for the lens. And the reason I stress the importance of this is that you can find cameras out there like DSLRs, even kind of medium high range cameras. They use like aluminum. They in some of the lower end ones, like from Costco or something like that, they even use like plastic. And it is so important to have a perfectly good sturdy mount off of like this body, right? You can see same material, stainless steel, solid as can be, is because you don't over the years want to create even the slightest amount of movement when you have the body attached, right? Especially something of this configuration. In fact, I'll bring this camera in right now just to kind of give you an illustration of what size we're talking about. So again, this camera body is on a separate ad. It is not for sale in this ad. I'm just bringing it in for sort of illustration purposes. So if you look at it like this, right, it's a very large configuration, and you can introduce like movement to this connection right here, lens and body, in a soft bag. I'm not saying that you will, but there's more likelihood that you could. So so I've always kept this camera in a hard case. This camera and this configuration has never been shot outdoors. It's not a camera made to, you know, run and gun and shoot outside, unless you're, you know, you're a high-end photographer for weddings and, you know, I don't know, celebrity shots or whatever. That's what this camera is for. And if you do go outdoor shooting with it, make sure you have an assistant. You bring a proper table or something like that with a cloth over it, to really protect the camera. And again, if you're outdoors, like near the beach, don't make as few lens changes as possible. There's a lot of good prime lenses for this camera, just as there are for Hasselblad and Phase 1 and all that. But just remember, if you're using prime lenses, you're either going to have to do manual zooming like this, right, or stepping backwards, and that's just, you know, more opportunity to drop the camera. So I would recommend keeping this camera in a studio environment on a tripod. You know, that's just my preference. You can do whatever you want with it, but that's just sort of my personal idea of a camera this quality. So what I'll do is let me show you a little bit. So the zoom range is 28 to 45 millimeter. While that may not seem like a whole lot of range, but it's just enough so you, like I do fashion and apparel type shots, and sometimes you want a full body shot, and with this lens you can go from a full body to a half body shot to 3/4 to 1/3, whatever you want, without having to move the camera. So to me, that was just the right amount of zoom range. And the other option is, like I said, get a whole bunch of different primes, but then, you know, you're spending a whole lot of time changing primes. It has a manual automatic switch. It has a shake reduction switch. They're really nicely made. They're nice, you know, feedback, solid feeling switches. These rings, focus, zoom, are just buttery smooth. And you know, in this configuration, while this lens is quite large, this camera body has this really nice feeling grip. Look how deep it is. So even though this is a big configuration, it gives you a lot of confidence when you have a nice big grip like this, right? So that's a really nice design, I thought. And also, when you're holding this camera and you're holding it with kind of like the midpoint of the lens, it's really well balanced. It doesn't feel like as big as it looks. But for the most part, like I said, you know, get yourself a really good tripod when you mount this camera in a studio. So let me just kind of take this body out. And again, this body is not for sale with this lens. So let me just show you the quality of this lens as much as I can. So first of all, that's the front part of the lens. Hopefully you can see it. No scratches, nothing like that. And I'll show you the back part. Again, I hope you can see the glass. No scratches, nothing on it. And I'll just kind of do a rotation of the body itself, of this lens. You can see it's been very well kept. And yeah, so that's, I think, a full rotation of it. I will say that this lens protected cap does have some scratches on it, and that's the reason for a lens protector, right? So you don't scratch the glass. So let me just put this back so we don't get any dust in there. So what I did do is I went out, I tried to do a scene. It was, you know, kind of a dark, dramatic scene with a nice depth of field. And I have these ProPhoto off-camera strobes. I had to dial those things way back. So because this camera, I mean, this lens with that camera, the 645Z, and this DA645 lens, it just lets in so much light. And of course, that's what you want, right? You want a camera, a lens that is just, you know, high quality, lets in, the more light, the more information, the better the shot. You can also always control so it doesn't saturate with the amount of light with neutral density filters. And that's what these things do. So it allows you to make sort of really nice, dramatic depth of field shots, and not saturate the photo, of the result of kind of a high quality lens like this. So anyway, so that's pretty much it.